Hello YouTube, I'm Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions. I do us go ahead and answer them. To cover on the gameplay, we're playing some Mob of the Dead here, right? It's Mob of the Dead Grief mode, because Grief is a really cool game mode that I hope to see come back in Black Ops 3 Zombies. And last week, for last week's Dear Nero, I'm like, I'm going to play some Black Ops 2 Zombies and have some fun with that, post up some of that, and people were outraged at the fact that I played Transit in my last video. I don't understand why. I don't understand why everybody was so upset. I personally like Transit. I think Transit's a fun take on the zombies experience. It's a lot different, of course, than your traditional zombies, so it was a lot of fun for me to play through, and everyone watching it was like, oh my god, he finally goes back to Black Ops 2 and he plays Transit? I'm like, alright. Well, we'll play Mob of the Dead. How about that? Is Mob of the Dead good? I like Mob of the Dead. It's some Grief mode here for you guys today. If you guys know what Grief mode is, it's basically zombies, but it's more competitive than your traditional zombies because there's 2 teams of 4, and the whole point is to try and out-survive the other teams. There's a lot of teamwork involved in this, as well as it can kind of get clustered because there's 8 people on a kind of small map, so they don't give you full access to like all of Alcatraz, right? That would just be freaking crazy, but we do have a pretty big area, and it gets kind of hectic in this game, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. No spoilers. I'm not going to say whether I win, I'm not going to say whether I lose, I'm not going to say how I do. I'm just going to say hopefully you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy the zombies gameplay for this week's episode of Dear Nero. Let's hop into the questions here. The first one, he's going to write, Dear Nero, I've been enjoying your Borderlands playthrough on your second channel, and I was wondering if you could record the Advanced Warfare campaign whenever you go through it. I, for one, really enjoy watching it. Thanks, from Liam. So Liam, that's very interesting because you are not the only person that sent me a question this week that actually said, Nero, you should post a Let's Play of the Advanced Warfare campaign, because recently people have found out that I haven't played through the Advanced Warfare campaign yet. I think I talked about it perhaps on last week's episode of Dear Nero. That's probably why so many people were talking about this week in the messages they sent me. But yeah, I haven't played through the campaign yet. And the reason why I haven't played through the campaign was I was worried it was going to kind of like turn me off the game, because when I played through the Ghost campaign, it was a pretty good campaign overall, but the ending was so terrible that it made me angry. Like, I was like, I don't even want to like play this game anymore. Like, that is just a horrible ending. And I was worried that like Advanced Warfare would have the same problem. Apparently Advanced Warfare doesn't have that. Apparently it's just a lot better of a campaign, and those people that have actually beaten the campaign and gone all the way through it, they say it's one of the top 3 Call of Duty campaigns hands down. And so I'm thinking to myself, that sounds like a really cool campaign. Of course, I played through all the Call of Duty ones. I've done most of them on veteran mode, and if I were to record a playthrough of it, I'd probably do it on hardened mode, because veteran is ridiculous, right? Lots of frustration, lots of deaths, lots of retries. Normal's way too easy, and then hardened is kind of just right, I feel so. So I'm not saying I'm not going to, but I'm just going to say it's definitely a possibility. If and when I do play through the Advanced Warfare campaign, I'll probably record it and post up over on yours Let's Plays. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, do you think that a player's top 5 weapons in Call of Duty can determine how good they are? I'm just saying my top 5 weapons in Black Ops 2 are the 5.7, the MP7, the Remington 870, the TAC-45, and the B-23R. Zyme React from Texas. So Zyme, I think your top 5 weapons in Call of Duty definitely says a lot about you as a player, but I don't think they necessarily determine how good you are, per se. So it's really weird. So you use a lot of really random guns, right? So you have 3 pistols, a submachine gun, and a shotgun in your top 5 weapons in Black Ops 2. Now, if you were to have like a 2 KD, like overall you have a 2.0 kill death ratio, and those are your top 5 guns, I think you're a pretty beast of a player, because you're using, you know, all these pistols, and you're using a shotgun, and you're using, you know, your MP7 there. That's really cool if you were to be able to have like a 2.0 KD, like a high number, like a high KD for that. But if you don't have a high KD, then it just says, okay, well, you run around with relatively crappy guns, and you do relatively crappy most of the time. Like, let's say, for example, your KD was like a 0.7. Chances are no one out there watching this video, because you guys are a lot more into Call of Duty than most other players, but chances are most of you guys are doing way better than a 0.7 KD. Like, my worst ever KD was 0.77. That's when I first started playing back in Call of Duty 4. So if your KD is like a 0.7, and you're running around and your top guns are like the pistols and the shotguns and things like that, then it just says you're a player that likes to run around with really crappy guns trying to have fun that way. I think you can learn a lot about a player by how they play like that. Like, you look at my combat record in Advanced Warfare, you know, my top gun being the MP11, the EM1, of course, being in my top gun, guns. I'm happy about the fact that my KD is like a 1.8 in Advanced Warfare, and I'm doing that while running around with the MP11, the EM1, the SN6. You guys see my combat record, right? I don't use the overpowered guns. I don't use very good guns in general in that game, and I still do pretty well in terms of my kill-death ratio. Black Ops 2. I'm super proud of Black Ops 2, man. I was playing a little bit of the multiplayer of that today, in fact, and that was pretty fun. I'd like to play with friends or subscribers or something, because playing solo can be frustrating. But it's fun, man. I have like a 2.65 KD in Black Ops 2. My top gun's the 870 shotgun, so I think that's a cool thing. You know, right up there in my top 5 is the TAC 45 pistol as well. So like running around with like a pistol and shotguns, and just how much fun I can have in that game, it's definitely a blast. But yeah, I'd say it is definitely representative of what kind of player you are, the top 5 weapons you have. Like, for example, if you look at somebody's top 5 guns in Advanced Warfare, and, you know, they're just using nothing but ASM-1, Ball 27, and things like that, it's like, okay, well, that guy just uses the OP guns. You look at the top 5 guns, you see, especially like back in Black Ops 2 or something, you see somebody has, you know, 20,000 kills with the DSR, it's like, okay, that guy likes to snipe a lot. Because I've seen people like that. Like, they have 20,000 DSR kills, 15,000 ballista kills, and then the rest of his kills are, like, with pistols or stuff like that, but it's a much smaller number. I've seen that quite a bit. That's definitely something I've seen quite a bit. I remember one time I saw somebody, and it made no sense to me how this was even possible, but there was somebody that had like 40,000 kills with the FAL, and then his next gun was like less than 1,000 with like a Type 25 or something like that. Like, literally the only gun he used every single game was the FAL in Black Ops 2. I'm like, what? How does that make any sense? I love being able to look at people's combat records just to kind of see. It's like, okay, well, that player likes to use that particular gun. This player, you can tell a lot about a player by what their top 5 weapons are in a given Call of Duty game. I think that's what I'm really trying to say here. So yes, I agree with you. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, do you think that Black Ops 3 will be as successful as Black Ops 2? From Faisal in Ohio. So Faisal, I'm going to say it's unlikely that it's going to be as successful as Black Ops 2. There's no doubt in my mind that Black Ops 3 has the potential to be a very successful game, but in my own personal opinion, and probably the opinions of a lot of other players, I think Black Ops 2 is the most successful Call of Duty that's ever come out. Right, and that's coming from somebody that's been playing forever. You guys know I've been playing since 2007, and Call of Duty 4 was like the last big Call of Duty game that people continued playing that for years and years and years and years, and there's still people playing Call of Duty 4. But Black Ops 2 is like the reincarnation of that. Black Ops 2 is the game that, even though it is outdated, even though a new console generation has come out, people are still continuing to play Black Ops 2 at time. Once again, almost getting up to 200,000 people at peak hours on the weekends is insane, the amount of people that are still playing Black Ops 2. So I think it's the most successful, the most popular, the most beloved Call of Duty game that's come out in recent memory. And I think even if you compare it back to the old Call of Duties, like even going back to Call of Duty 4, I still think it's more beloved by the sheer amount of people that are playing it, because Call of Duty 4 didn't have over 100,000 people playing it 3 years after the thing freaking came out, right? It just wasn't happening. Black Ops 2 is ridiculously successful, it is ridiculously popular, and no matter how good Black Ops 3 may be, I think it's a stretch to say that it's going to be anywhere near as popular, as successful, and as beloved as what Black Ops 2 is. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, would you like to see Treyarch bring back wager matches in Black Ops 3, and do you think it could be a possibility? From James from nowhere, really. He didn't say where he's from. Just James, just simply James. Why are you asking? Just simply James. But yeah, so James, I think it's entirely possible that they'll bring back wager matches, but I don't think they're going to be called wager matches. I think they're going to go back with another coin they term, they're going to call it party games, because it wouldn't be a wager match. Like, the very definition of a wager match is you are wagering something. There's a bet, there's something going on, and there's something is on the line in that particular game. When wager matches were called wager matches, that was back in Black Ops, and you were actually wagering your COD points in that match, and you were potentially going to either lose your COD points or some COD points, and you were going to win other COD points. You know, it was a wager. You were gambling on how well you're going to do. You need to place within the top 3 in that particular match. Since then, since they got rid of the COD point system, they've, of course, included games like Gun Game. They've included games like Sharpshooter, One in the Chamber, and things like that in other Call of Duty games, but they don't call them wager matches anymore. They just call them party games, and that's what they are. They're party games. They're supposed to be fun. You know, it's not really, I mean, of course it can be competitive. Of course it can be a competitive thing, but it's not really designed with a competitive mindset of nature. You know, it's not supposed to be this ultra competitive game when you're playing Sharpshooter. You know, you're supposed to go in Sharpshooter with a couple buddies and just have some fun. You know, that's what it's all about, as compared to playing something like Domination, where you're supposed to still have fun, but it's a lot more competitive. You know, you're really trying to win. You know, if you're not playing to your full potential, then you're letting down your teammates, and you know, the other teams can be doing better, and it's just it can be frustrating at times. And whereas wager matches and party games, it feels as though we're supposed to be like they're supposed to be more of a relaxed environment as compared to anything else. So I definitely think that they could bring them back. And I no doubt in my mind they're going to bring them back in one way or another in Black Ops 3, but I don't think they're going to be called wager matches. Once again, I feel as though they're going to be called party games. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what Call of Duty got you the most hyped about the game before its release, excluding Black Ops 3? Thank you, keep up the great work, Dan from Illinois. So Dan, I'm going to say this. I thought long and hard about this. I feel as though the last Call of Duty game, like the most hyped I ever was compared to anything else, excluding Black Ops 3, was probably Modern Warfare 2. Right, probably Modern Warfare 2. And I think some of you guys that were around back then could probably relate to this. So, Modern Warfare 2 was going to be a game changer in the Call of Duty franchise. Of course, Call of Duty 4 was revolutionary in the fact that it had, created classes put in there and perks put in there and a prestige system and all that. And World at War was really just more of the same, but in a World War II setting. When Modern Warfare 2 came out, they really expanded upon the attachments, really expanded upon the kill streaks, and it was going to be a continuation of Call of Duty 4, which once again was the most beloved Call of Duty game to ever release, aside until Black Ops 2 became as popular as it is today. Like Black Ops 2, I feel as though took the throne of like most beloved Call of Duty from Call of Duty 4, my own personal opinion, of the general community, not just my own personal opinion, but I feel as though the general community itself thinks Black Ops 2 is probably the best game to come out for Call of Duty in many, 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 many years. So I was excited for that game to come out just by the very premise that it was going to be a continuation of Call of Duty 4. And then when we saw this trailer, I'm putting the trailer on the screen for you guys to check out here. So remember this trailer when it came out? They're playing Capture the Flag here. And then there's an AC-130 in the riot shield, and it was a whole scripted sequence in the multiplayer, basically. But you see the person take the flag and capture the flag, and he's got teammates working with him, and he's rushing through, and the AC-130 is calling down and raining down people here. And it's on Favela, which is one of the better maps in the game. It was just such a cool trailer, and it really, really got me excited for the game. I remember specifically when I saw that trailer, I'm like, this is it, man. This game is going to be the greatest freaking game I've ever played. I'm so excited for it. And I was super excited for this game. I was so excited. I remember there was YouTubers out there who were getting access to the game early, like similar to what I do now. I've done it for the past 3 years. I did it with Ghost, I did it with Black Ops 2, I did it with Advanced Warfare. I get all these games early by buying them off somebody off eBay or Amazon, or finding a contact or hookup somehow to get me access to the game early, right? So I can record videos of it for YouTube. Well, there was people that did it back then, but they weren't. That was before YouTube ever really took off in terms of the Call of Duty community. So basically, people didn't care about their channels. They didn't really care about anything. So a lot of people were getting access to the game early, and then they were actually posting it on YouTube. And videos, of course, were getting taken down. But every day, you get on, you'd like Modern Warfare 2 gameplay or something like that. You just try and find it before these videos get taken down. You actually be able to see the gameplay of the game, and you get to see them just running around and using the guns, and just the mystery that the game had to it. I think was the reason why I was so excited for it. Just what all is this game going to entail? It's a bit different now, I would say, because of course there's people like me out there that are trying to break down every little nook and cranny and piece of information that we get about the game. There's people who have actually been able to play the game early, making tons of videos talking about all the different features in the game. So there's going to be a little bit less mystery to the game itself, and I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, I suppose. But I think the last time I was super excited for a Call of Duty game, like way above anything else, was probably when we learned about Modern Warfare 2, because it was basically just going to be Call of Duty 4 but on steroids, right? That's what it was supposed to be. I remember Black Ops 2, I was pretty excited for that because it was going to be a continuation of the Black Ops series. I wasn't stoked about the fact it was in the future, though, so that kind of turned me off a bit. Modern Warfare 3, for whatever reason, right from the get, I knew it wasn't going to be as good as Modern Warfare 2, and so I went into it kind of with a more cynical eye, I would suppose, as compared to some other games. I already didn't expect that game to be that great, and turns out it wasn't very good. Advanced Warfare, I wasn't super excited about Advanced Warfare because, of course, I had exosuit stuff and it was breaking the norm of traditional Call of Duty. Call of Duty Ghost, I just wasn't excited for, really, because it's an Infinity Ward game, and the last time an Infinity Ward game was good was once again back in Modern Warfare 2. Well, that was in 2009, keep in mind. A whole different Infinity Ward staff actually put together that game. So, I don't know. The games that have come out, I wasn't ever as excited for them as compared to when I was for Modern Warfare 2, I suppose. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what is your favorite and least favorite map in Advanced Warfare so far? Personally, I despise Detroit, as it is just horrible, and I enjoy playing Solar or Green Band any day of the week. Keep up the great content from... oh, goodness gracious. Vashir in London, England. I'm going to say that's Vashir. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I really do. But my favorite map right in the game is probably Comeback. I've said for a while now, Comeback is probably going to be, that map in Advanced Warfare. Like, whenever they make a new Sledgehammer game, that'd be 2 years from now. Next one is going to be Treyarch. No, 3 years from now, right? It's going to be a while before the next Sledgehammer game. But I feel as though when the next Sledgehammer game comes out, we're going to look back at Comeback and we're like, they should remake that map. They should put that map in this game as DLC because it was that good, right? I feel like Comeback's the best map in the game, but I also love Green Band. There's actually, every map in the game is good in my own personal opinion, with the exception of 2. I'm not a big fan of Instinct. Just haven't been since the game came out. Not a fan of Instinct. I know some people may like it. Maybe if you're a sniper, you like to stand on that big shrine thing in the middle, but just not a fan of Instinct personally. As well as the map Core, which came in DLC, just was never a fan of it. I've played it multiple times. I just never seem to do good on it. I don't like the environment of it. It's just a bunch of garbage and rubble everywhere. I'm just not a fan of Core. I'm not a fan of Instinct. Those are the 2 maps I really don't like in Advanced Warfare, but in my own personal opinion, every other map in the game is pretty freaking good. Next question, he rates, Dear Nero, what are some of the things that you would love to see in Black Ops 3 but you know won't be in the game? One of the things I personally would like to see is something like a server browser from Battlefield, but I'm sure it won't be there. And this person, 2 horrible names in a row for me to try to pronounce, Shahayar, so I think that's it, Shahayar from Pakistan. So goodness gracious, I'm so sorry if I messed up your name. He even actually pronounced it for me so I could like try to see how to pronounce this properly, but I probably still screwed. I'm so bad at pronouncing people's names. But Black Ops 3, back to the question. What are some things I would love to see in Black Ops 3, but I don't think are going to be in the game? For example, the example you gave was actually server browsers, similar to what Battlefield has. That would also imply that the game itself would be running on dedicated servers. That's a very interesting idea. I like the idea of dedicated servers, I feel. But part of what makes Call of Duty for me is the matchmaking system. You queue up and you get thrown into a lobby, then the lobby gets a host, that peer-to-peer host system that we've known it forever. And in my own personal opinion, the peer-to-peer system's very good. It's not that bad. Like, I don't lags too hard. I mean, if I'm on a 3-bar, it's not the worst thing in the world. I can usually play pretty good, but, sometimes it's bad, 1-bar, 2-bar, but for the most part, I have a relatively good connection. But the idea of a dedicated server, I think, could be interesting if they were to, borrow a page from the Battlefield book, because I think the idea of being able to have rent-a-servers would be pretty fun, but once again, it would be so much different than what we usually have with Call of Duty. Now, for example, the prestige system, the unlock system, the level up system, it'd be a whole lot different if there were this server system, because, there's people out there, which I'm sure that would want to level up very quickly in Call of Duty. For example, let's take Black Ops 2. If Black Ops 2 had a rent-a-server system, there would just be infinite domination on Nuketown 2025, and that would be its own server. And then people would just play in that server nonstop, and then you level up ridiculously quickly as a result of that. Maybe like infinite demolition or infinite hardpoint or headquarters or whatever, They would do that kind of thing. But I also like the idea, but I can make my own server, right? I can make the NerosCinema server, and I can make it so people, you guys, subscribers, can just go in there and play whenever you want, and whenever I'm online, I'll be in that server as well. So chances are you'll probably run into me at one point or another, and we could play together a game and have some fun. I think that'd be cool, and I could also change around the score and the settings and things like that. Like, let's say, once again, using Black Ops 2 as an example, I would make it so it's basically 9-on-9 domination on only the maps I really like. So we would have Nuketown 2025 there, although I'm not sure how that would work with 9-on-9. We'd have Plaza in there, we'd have Raid in there, we'd have just all the good maps in the game, 9-on-9 domination, and that would be the only thing that we play in that server. And I think it'd be fun that way. I think it'd be pretty freaking cool. And once again, having like the NerosCinema server where people could, join in at any time and just play against each other and do whatever, and occasionally I would get in there too, because whenever I'm actually online, I would be playing in that server, and then I could play with you guys, and it'd be fun. But, I don't know, the idea of a dedicated server, the idea of a server browser coming to Call of Duty, that is, I don't know, just something they've never put in Call of Duty. Once again, Call of Duty's been out forever, man. Call of Duty multiplayer is been out since 2003, I believe it was. Was that the first Call of Duty that had multiplayer? And they've never had a dedicated servers. They never had server browsers on console, so we'll have to see if they'll ever actually implement something like that. But to answer your question, some things I would love to see in Black Ops 3 that I know won't be in the game: World War II stuff, Vietnam-style stuff, napalm kill streaks, Tommy guns, M1 Garands, those things are cool, most of the guns, just more old-school style stuff. You guys know, we all kind of wanted, or at least I wanted, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree, I want the game to have some World War II stuff, have some Vietnam stuff in there, but it's looking like it's going to be all futuristic stuff, and, some people may not like that. I'm okay with it personally, but I just would have preferred a World War II game or a Vietnam game. Next question, he writes: Dear Nero, in the Black Ops 3 trailer, we saw people fighting people and people fighting robots. So do you think the multiplayer will be PvP or PvR? Wyatt from Pennsylvania. So Wyatt, I'm wondering if you know what PvP stands for. PvP is not people versus people. It's player versus player, actually. But it's an interesting idea nonetheless. I thought I would clear that up for you, as well as I would answer this question, because I think it's a pretty interesting one. So your question is the multiplayer itself going to be people versus people, or is it going to be people versus robots? I feel as if robots are in the multiplayer. I think it's actually confirmed, right? Like some of the specialists you can play as are not even people, like they're actually just robot people, like cyborg things. I don't know. I think that's confirmed, but don't take my word on it. I want you to talk to somebody that's actually played the game, but I'm pretty positive that's the case, right? And it'd be interesting to see if there was maybe just even one game mode in Black Ops 3 that was, once again, similar to Titanfall and the attrition game mode that we saw there. I thought attrition was a pretty interesting twist on Team Deathmatch. The idea that there was, I believe it was 6-on-6. I could be wrong about 6-on-6 in Titanfall, but I think it was 6-on-6, and there was also just a bunch of robots, a bunch of NPC robots that would walk around the map, and they were basically stupid. They were basically, I called them self-esteem boosters when I first started playing, because you would just go up and mow down 5 of them in a row, and you just feel good about yourself. You're like, yeah, I'm helping out the team here, getting some points, mowing down 5 little AI-controlled robots. You know, I call them self-esteem boosters, and that's kind of what they were. It'd be interesting to see if Black Ops 3 were to have a system similar to that in one way or another. If we were to, you know, make the maps a little bit bigger, and we were to actually have AI-controlled players running around, maybe Spec Ops-style soldiers that would run around, and, you know, they would be playing somehow, you know, they'd be involved in the game one way or another. I think that'd be interesting, but I don't feel as though that's going to be the case. I'm pretty positive Black Ops 3 is going to be just like any other traditional Call of Duty. It's going to be, you know, 6-on-6, maybe even 4-on-4 if there's a team tactical or like a multi-team playlist or something like that, maybe 3-on-3 or 9v9. It's going to be your traditional Call of Duty. I don't feel as though there's going to be really any AI-controlled players taking part in any of the game modes. Next and final question, he's going to write, Dear Nero, in your opinion, would it be interesting to see a third-person option in a Call of Duty game where you can toggle it on and off whenever you want? How would this option change how Call of Duty is played, and would you like to see this option? A simple reply would be great, but putting this on Dear Nero would be awesome. Keep up the great content and have a wonderful day. Dylan from New York. So, Dylan, I'm going to say the idea of having third-person Call of Duty, it was actually implemented back in Modern Warfare 2. That was the first and only time there was ever actually a third-person option in Call of Duty, and it was only available in one game mode. There was basically a game mode called Third Person Team Tactical, and it basically played a lot like Gears of War, which is another shooter game, but it's obviously in third person as compared to Call of Duty, which is traditionally first person. But it wouldn't work in Call of Duty. And it could, I suppose. It wouldn't work as you described it. The way you described it was you just have an option where you can turn on first person, turn off first person, and go to third person. It's whatever you want. It's basically toggle third person on and off, right? You couldn't have that happen in the Call of Duty multiplayer, because look how third person works, right? You run up to a wall, you crouch behind it so nobody can see you. You go into third person, and suddenly you have all this crazy view around you, and you can see anybody. Then you just pop up from behind your wall when you see somebody coming. You take them down while you're in third person, and go back behind your wall and you continue to watch it. It's too different. The games play too differently when somebody's in third person compared to when somebody's in first person, where they don't have all that extra peripheral view. So it just wouldn't work being able to toggle it on and off. If you were to have a third person option in Call of Duty, it would have to be a dedicated playlist or game mode, similar to what they did back in Modern Warfare 2, where you had the third-person team tactical playlist, where you went in there, you basically played 4-on-4. It was a mosh pit of different objective game modes, and I think Team Deathmatch as well, and it was all set in third person, which is actually kind of fun. It was good fun now and again to go and play that. I actually enjoyed it. You pull out the default class there. I think it was called... what in the world was the name of the class? I don't even remember, but basically it was the UMP-45 default class that had Marathon Lightweight and Ninja on there. You'd run around with that thing, and it was just so much fun. Or you use a gun that really doesn't have much kick at all, something like an ACR or something like that. It was a lot different playing in third person, and it was enjoyable. You get to see your whole soldier, and with all the customization that's coming to with Black Ops 3 and just coming to Call of Duty in general, I feel as though it'd be cool to have a third person playlist where we could see our soldier, because of course we're customizing our guy like crazy, right? We can only see what our guy looks like. It'd be interesting to see, you know, what the game would be like if we could customize our guys and play in third person where we actually get to see our guy. You know, that's the one thing about Call of Duty customization that really, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, they keep wanting to up this. I see people, and if you're this way, I'm not hating on you or anything. I'm just saying I don't personally understand it. Like, there's people who like to make videos and stuff, but every time like a new piece of gear comes out in Advanced Warfare, they're constantly adding in like new sets of armor and gear that you can put together. Like, for example, in Advanced Warfare, I wear the Sentinel Medic set because I just like the way way it looks. But it doesn't matter. Like, people get so excited about when that stuff ends up happening. It's like, but why? You can't even see it. At best, you can see like the top part of your gloves, like up there towards your fingers. That's really all that you can see from your actual gear itself, right? It doesn't actually play a factor. It doesn't play a role in the game at all. So I don't get excited about what I look like. Same thing happened in Borderlands. You guys know I play tons of Borderlands. Playing through Borderlands 1 right now on my Let's Play channel. In fact, I'm addicted to that game. I feel so it's so good. But in Borderlands, you can get different skins. In Borderlands 1, like, you can customize what your character looks, but it doesn't matter because you don't see your character ever, aside from when you're like in a vehicle and you look behind you. Like, you never actually see what you look like, so it doesn't matter. You know, so it'd be cool if there was like a third-person system in Call of Duty, a specific game mode, specific playlist, or what have you, or even just an option in private matches just for fun, where you could run around as your soldier in third person, so you can actually see what your character looks like with all your customized gear. I think that would be pretty interesting. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. Like I say, I was playing, you know, Black Ops 2 Zombies today, and I was enjoying it. I was something about the Xbox 360 controller. Like, at first it was like, okay, this kind of feels weird, but it's like riding a bike, man. It's like I put so many days and hours and just whatever of playtime on the Xbox 360 of all the Call of Duty games I played. It's like riding a bike. Like, instantly, I'm like right back into it. You know, I'm feeling comfortable with the controller again. It's just, I don't know, something about the 360 controller. I still like it more than the Xbox One controller. I feel so just so freaking good. And Black Ops 2 multiplayer, there's actually a lot of fun playing that today as well. Maybe I'll do some open lobbies of that here in the near future. That'd be pretty interesting. Be sure to follow me on Twitter if you ever want to get into open lobbies. Just link to that down in the video description, because wherever I'm like doing an open lobby, I always tweet out, hey, we're doing an open lobby right now, send SB Nero an invite and we'll go play. And then that's how we do it. There's no real way to get into an open lobby besides that, so be sure you're following on Twitter. Hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of Dear Nero, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. If you want to submit your questions for next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. That's all you really need to do, and I'll look through the questions at the end of the week like I always do. And if I like your question, I feel so it's entertaining, if it's a good question in general, it'll probably be featured, because that's how Dear Nero works. Once again, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.